Well. The Eagles open up their season against the hated Dallas Cowboys and come out with a 24-20 victory. This is Sports Talk with your boy D Mac, and I want to personally say I am grateful to have come out game one with a win. Now, everybody knows if you're a real football fan and you watch the NFL year in and year out, you know that these week one games can go either way. They they they're very unpredictable. Like everybody is kind of like filling each other out in a sense with these first couple of games because let's face it, these days, it's not like it was years and years ago where teams would allow their starting players to, play significant snaps in the preseason. That's that's really not happening too often these days. So, um, the a lot of these guys, as far as the starters, they're not getting, live reps, live tackling to the ground. It's a different ball game when it's completely live. You know what I mean? So um it's like the first two, three games, it's like they're of the regular season. It's like it's their preseason because they don't really get to play in, the actual preseason. So I know everybody on mainstream media is gonna be talking about um the whole incident that happened with Jalen Carter at the beginning of the game or before the game even started, shall I say, with him walking over and spitting on Dak Prescott. Now, with that being said, I just can't fathom being spit on by another man, another human being, regardless gender aside, whatever the case may be. You just don't do that. You just don't do that, especially a player of Carter's caliber to go up and spit on Dak Prescott before the game even starts, and you are the probably the best player on the defense. The team is counting on you to help win the game. You are a huge focal point of what the opposing offense and the offensive coordinator on the other side. I'm pretty sure the Cowboys offensive coordinator and their head coach and that when they're game planning, they're saying, "Hey, we have to make sure that we block this guy Jalen Carter because he's a problem, and he is." But you just you cannot do something that dumb. You cannot go up and do something that egregious, that disrespectful, that dumb. It's completely unacceptable. Now, while I was watching the game last night, I did not know anything about, the video that has surfaced this morning with basically Dak Prescott kind of provoking Jalen Carter a little bit because when you're watching the video, Dak Prescott is in a huddle with his offensive players and he's like behind two or three of his linemen and he kind of walks up over their shoulder and he spits over their shoulder, but he's looking at Jalen Carter when he does it. So that action by Dak Prescott in turn made Jalen Carter walk up closer to Dak Prescott and kind of confront him about it. And basically, it looked like he was saying, "Hey, were you trying to spit on me?" And I don't know what Dak said after that. I mean, he said Dak spoke after the game and he said that he was basically telling Jalen Carter, "No, I wasn't trying to spit on you. Why would I spit on you or whatever?" But that's some PR mess. Like, if you see the video of Dak Prescott spitting over the shoulder of his lineman, and then he does this little wink thing and he's smiling about it. Like, basically, like that's it's unsportsmanlike. It shouldn't have never happened from either one of them, in my opinion. And it's unfortunate, man. It's unfortunate because you want it's opening night of the NFL, and you want to have both teams want to be at full strength. They want to, you want to have the best game possible. And I felt like, you know, from my standpoint as an Eagles fan, I feel like we were kind of robbed of, a better defensive experience, not having our best defensive player in Jalen Carter on the field. Now, he was ejected after doing so with this whole spitting thing, and he probably should have been. But I do feel like there also should have been or should be a penalty also, whether it's a fine or whatever the case may be, for Dak Prescott, because Dak Prescott was also wrong in this situation. Neither one of them should have done what they did. Now, I don't know what type of disciplinary actions will come down from that. As far as the Eagles go, I know I watched a little bit of the Nick Sirianni press conference after the game, and Nick Sirianni basically said that he was gonna keep all the disciplinary actions with his players in-house, and he wasn't gonna discuss what he was gonna do, and that's fine. I understand that, and rightfully so. I don't expect him to tell the media, what he's planning to do to Jalen Carter or whatever the case may be. But as far as the NFL goes, I don't think Jalen Carter should be suspended. A lot of people are saying he should be suspended and make an example of him and all this type of stuff. And it's not me saying he doesn't deserve to be suspended because I'm an Eagles fan. I say that I don't think he should be suspended because there were two players that were wrong in the situation and nothing has happened to the other player. And fair is fair. You know what I mean? Like, team fandom aside, both players were wrong, like I said before. So both players should have similar or, you know, equal disciplinary action going forward from this situation. Now, that's all I have to say about that situation. I'm going to move on to the actual game. And I have to admit, watching the game, the first half, back and forth, with the scoring. Uh, Cowboys went down the field and scored on their first four drives. Eagles scored, matching them back to back to back, so it was like very back and forth with the scoring in the first half. This was a very unusual game. It was a lot of penalties. It was weather delays in the second half. The ejection and the spitting and it was all over the place. Not really what you would expect or what, you know, the ideal situation would be for opening night of the NFL. Unfortunate, man, but um Eagles gotta clean up all the penalties, gotta do better with all the penalties on the defensive side. Um, Too many penalties. I felt like the pass interference stuff and it was just too much yellow on the field last night, in my opinion. Just too much yellow, too many flags. Some of the things that the refs were calling, I personally didn't agree with. The one in particular that I can think of right now, off the top of my head, was the play where Dak Prescott, well, he threw a ball into the end zone, and I forget the player that he threw it to, but Reed Blankenship, number 32 of the Eagles defense, the safety, he was kind of like he got an unnecessary roughness penalty because he was like he kind of hit the receiver's head or shoulder area, neck, shoulder, head area, whatever, when he was running full speed, diving to make a tackle. Like, that's a bang bang play. I don't know what the refs or what the NFL expects a player to do when they're literally running full speed towards an offensive player to make a tackle, and you run into the guy. Like, I don't even think now sometimes you can kind of look at a play and you can say that was on purpose, that was egregious, he intentionally did that, he intentionally was trying to hurt that receiver, but that wasn't the case on that Reed Blankenship play. That wasn't the case at all, and I really didn't agree with that. I really didn't like that. The Nolan Smith sack, or was it I don't I'm not I don't it's guys, it was a long night. The Nolan Smith play where he got the taunting penalty. He went over and flexed and stood over the guy. I think it was their running back who had he stopped him for a loss behind the line of scrimmage. You know, like, I understand they're trying to, clean it up and have better sportsmanship and all these things, but I mean, come on, man. Like, this is football. This is football. This is not like the guys are out there just showing emotion after a big play. Like, I understand if he pushed the guy or kicked him or something egregious like that after he made the tackle, but he just standing there like, yeah, come on, you know what I mean? Like, just showing the raw emotion in the moment, raw emotion in the moment. We hopefully, as these games go on throughout the season, hopefully, um, it kind of loosens up a bit with all the flags and stuff with the taunting. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes taunting is egregious, depending on what's happened. It's a case by case on a case by case basis, and it's all different. Sometimes certain things may warrant a flag penalty, but come on, man. This is football. This these guys are out there playing a very physical sport. They're showing a lot of emotion. It's an emotional game. You're fighting back and forth, trying to win a game, trying to stop the opposing offense, and you're just showing some emotion. Let the players show some emotion, man. If it's so egregious in certain situations, if it's very egregious that what the defensive player is doing to the offensive player, okay, cool. All right, cool. Don't throw the flag. Because sometimes people go too far, as we clearly saw last night. But you gotta allow these guys to show emotion. You gotta allow these guys to be human, be NFL football players. It's an emotional sport. it's a very physical sport. And I feel like the NFL is just trying to take too much away from the game, man. Like we rarely see big hits anymore. And I'm not saying that, it should be head hunting season out there on the football field. But it seems like anytime there's a big hit, and it could be it could look completely clean, just be a big hit. They will throw the flag no matter what. Anytime a defensive player lays in a big hit on an offensive player, 9 times out of 10, a flag is coming. So you have to like play this softer, more cautious type of ball, and it's just I just feel like it's taken away from the game. It's taken away from the game. Now, I feel like as far as the Eagles go, and still, speaking on the defense, right? The Eagles may have and GM Howie Roseman may have made a great mistake by letting Isaiah Rodgers and Darius Slay both walk in free agency after last season. I feel like one of the things that made the defense so great, that made them number one defense last season, was not only their ability to get after the quarterback and create havoc up front on the defensive line and the stellar play of the linebackers with Zach Bond and Nakobe Dean until he got injured. Um, it was also the way the back end played, the secondary, the safeties, the DB, all the DBs on that back end last season played great. And I know Slay he's getting older and he's past 30 and he was in and out of the lineup a bit, with injuries and things like that. But Slay is still at the top of his game, in my opinion. And it's not like we had a lot of better options to replace him. So I feel like if you're gonna let Slay walk, at least try to re-sign Isaiah Rodgers, because when Isaiah Rodgers came in last season, when Slay was out for injury or whatever the case may be, he played damn good. He played damn good, and then I remember in training camp last season, Isaiah Rodgers had a damn good training camp. And those guys were deep back there in the secondary. And they not to mention CJ Gardner Johnson at safety. You trade him to the Texans. Now you weaken two positions in on the back end. I'm not feeling too good about that. I'm not feeling too good about that. I don't like what I've seen thus far from Adoree Jackson at the corner position opposite Quinyon Mitchell back there. I feel like the safeties with Makuba and drawing a blank. The safeties, I feel like our safeties played pretty well last night. But Adoree Jackson, I was watching some of the highlights last night and this morning, and I'm like, I know they're playing zone coverage, but he's like way far away from the receiver. Like CeeDee Lamb was torching him. He was like 7, 8 yards behind the receiver trying to like chase him. Like it wasn't a pretty sight. It wasn't a pretty sight at all. And I understand it's game one. I follow this team from training camp during the off season. I look at countless and countless amounts of videos and all this stuff and try to stay in as in tune with what's going on with the team as possible. And there has been no answer for that cornerback position. It hasn't looked good all throughout training camp. Keely Ringo was basically the guy that was supposed to take on that role after Slay left, and he's been a disappointment to say the least. He has not even been involved at all in the last couple of weeks in the thought process of who's gonna be out there. Just special teams for him. And that's very disappointing because the guy, he has great size. I think he's like 6'1" and 200 and something pounds. He's long. He's prototypical. If you had to draw up the prototypical corner, his size and speed would be perfect for that. But the guy has four ball skills. He's very handsy. Almost every time he's out there, he gets a DPI. It's just been disappointing with Keely Ringo. And Adoree Jackson has not been much better at all. And then we traded for this corner from the Raiders, who has shown some promise, but man, I really miss Slay right now. From his experience to his savviness as a veteran, and he still had his wheels. He wasn't slow or anything by any means. Slay played really great last season in our pursuit of a Super Bowl, and he was very key in help winning that Super Bowl. And it's not looking good so far. Now, I'm gonna try and remain optimistic about it and be hopeful that maybe Adoree Jackson will get better. Maybe Vic Fangio, our defensive coordinator, will try and scheme things up a bit better to mask uh, Adoree Jackson's faults, weaknesses. But man, wasn't looking good at all. It seems like Dak Prescott was just having his way out there with Adoree Jackson. And apparently there was a point in the game where Adoree left the game to get checked for a concussion, and then the other cornerback we traded for from Oakland, Jacorian Bennett, he came in and he got a DPI. Now he looked a little bit better when he came out there, but the penalties, man, the penalties. I just hope either he or Adoree Jackson improves enough to the point where they're a solid starter. Not asking to be Slay because neither one of them are Slay or ever gonna be Slay. Maybe not even as good as our other corner or but just be serviceable. You know what I mean? That's basically what I'm trying to say. Just be serviceable, just be steady, just be decent and steady. you know, not cost us games, not cost us penalty yardage, not cost us big plays down the field. Just be steady. Just be effective enough to where that you don't cost us big in the passing game. We need that. Now, it was not a very fun game to watch, I'll be honest, but a win is a win. I'm glad we got the win. Um, as far as the passing goes, I was very disappointed that um, we didn't get our wide receivers involved. AJ Brown had one catch in the fourth quarter. I was in complete shock and disbelief about that. And also, um, Smith, he had like three catches for like 16 yards. Devontae Smith, uh, we got to figure that out, man. I understand that Jalen Hurts was moving the ball with his legs, and hey, I don't knock him for doing so. I'm glad he kept the chains moving. I'm glad he kept, uh, you know, putting the team in a position to get down the field consistently and score. He did. Jalen did a great job. But as far as like the offensive staff, the offensive coordinator, Nick Sirianni, uh, I'm pretty sure they're gonna be going over this film and saying, "Hey, we got to do something better with this. We have to get AJ Brown and Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert. We have to get the passing game going better than it was last night." Now, as far as Saquon Barkley goes, I don't remember how many attempts Saquon had, but he ended the game with 60 yards. To put things into perspective, Jalen Hurts himself had 62 rushing yards. So Saquon didn't really have a huge game like we've seen so many times of him doing last year, but he was just effective enough to keep moving forward. He did have a touchdown, help keep the chains moving. He was effective enough in what he did last night to, you know, contribute to the offense. But our wide receivers and Devontae Smith, AJ Brown, not even close. And I have not seen footage of AJ Brown walking off the field or any post-game interview from AJ Brown after the game or Devontae Smith after the game because I'm curious and I'm like, and maybe that's on purpose. Maybe their PR staff made them unavailable. Maybe AJ and Devontae both decided to just duck out of there and avoid the whole media after the game. And they don't, because as a wide receiver, especially of their caliber, you want the ball. You want the ball, man. Tell me a wide receiver that doesn't want the ball. Tell me a wide receiver that wants to go 3 quarters before I even get a target, before I even get a catch. There was like a minute and change left in the fourth quarter when AJ Brown caught his one reception. AJ Brown is arguably the best receiver in the NFL. And I know you may disagree. He's definitely top five. Definitely. So for him to go the whole game, not get a target until the fourth quarter, come on, Eagles. Come on. We got to do better than that. We have to do better than that going forward. The Eagles have Kansas City Chiefs next Sunday in Arrowhead. Super Bowl LIX rematch. Best believe the Chiefs, they're going to be amped up to play that game. They're going to be very intentional in that game, if you know what I'm saying. Because in that Super Bowl, they got embarrassed. They were embarrassed in that Super Bowl. It was a slaughter. It was a blowout. It was belt to ass in that Super Bowl. Domination. And if you have any pride as a team, Patrick Mahomes being one of the best quarterback by most people's standards in the NFL currently, and you got embarrassed in the Super Bowl like you did. That game was not even close. I watched it, and as I'm sure pretty much a lot of you did also, that game was a slaughter, and they were embarrassed. You had players on their sideline literally crying. It was not pretty. So, with that being said, when I tell you they will be very intentional in their efforts to try and beat the Philadelphia Eagles next Sunday in Arrowhead, they will be on a mission. Now, I'm not saying that the Eagles cannot win the game, but it's not going to be that same type of game that it was in the Super Bowl. I can guarantee you that one. I can guarantee you that one. It's not going to be that type of game. So, next Sunday, it's going to be a good one. But like T.O. always said, get your popcorn ready. It's going to be a good one. But all in all, man, like I said before, uh, it was a very crazy game last night. I'm very happy we got the win. Always better to get a win and with all the imperfections and things that need to be fixed than to lose and also go through the next week or so trying to, stomach that loss and at home with your championship banner being unveiled at that night, the opening night of the NFL. We got the win. Now it's time to make the corrections. That's from Jalen Carter all the way down the roster, from offense, pass, uh, pass issues, passing issues on the defensive side, the coverages. That cornerback spot is going to be Bennett, Adoree Jackson again. I don't know, man. I don't know, but we got the win. We're 1-0. That's the most important thing. And this is going to be a wild ride going forward in this season. And I can't wait to watch it. And I want to thank you guys for tuning in. This has been Sports Talk with your boy, D Mac. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.